David Burris. Bill Lukens.
Here.
J.R. Huddleston.
Here.
Deborah Johnston.
Here.
Larry Pratt.
Here.
Craig Romey.
Present.
Melanie Wilson.
Here.
Linda Varvel.
Here.
Thank you.
Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As always, Council, reminder for conflict of interest items. If there's anything that you feel you shouldn't be voting on, please let the Council know. Need a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Need a motion to approve the minutes from the July 18th meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from July 18th council meeting.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Need a motion to approve the bills in between.
Make a motion to approve bills in between for $171,367.75.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. A motion to approve the current claims.
Make a motion to approve the current claims of $254,314.94.
Second.
Discussion.
That's a lot of money.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. And our last claim, Wells Fargo credit cards.
I make a motion to accept the Wells Fargo credit card claims in the amount of $6,960.83. Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Brings us to council update, library quarterly update. Mary, I think I saw you out there.
Hello. So we just wrapped up our summer reading program this week. We actually had 152 children participating. Wow. They read a total of 735 hours. The program actually lasted 9 weeks, which is a little longer than last year, which was only 4 weeks last year. So a lot of reading. A lot of kids were excited and had fun learning about oceans of possibility. We have sent staff to 3 different training workshops. They had one in Custer, one in Rapid City, and we sent Heather all the way to Aberdeen to get certification for being librarians. Current stats for patron attendance, we're averaging about 3,000 people a month, or about 100 people a day coming through our doors to check out the books we have, the DVDs, and use our computers quite a bit. Current circulation, we have about 24,000 titles, books, and DVDs in our library. There's an average of about 3,000 of those going out every month, coming in and out. We've issued a new set of cards to new patrons for a total of 213 for the last 3 months, so about 71 of those every month. 122 of those new cards actually are from Hot Springs, and about 91 are from outside city limits. We're looking toward October starting a fall reading program and hopefully expanding it. We didn't have much for adults or toddlers, so we're going to look to see if we can do a little better with that. And we're just taking suggestions from all the patrons. There's been suggestions for new books that we need to bring in. There's some that are interested in a book club, and so we're continuing to take suggestions and improve our library. That's
Wow.
Very impressive.
Yeah, thank you, Mary.
Good job.
What's the age
span of the reading program?
We had it broke down into teenagers, 3rd through 5th grade, 1st through 2nd grade, and then we had preschool kindergartners.
Nice.
Excellent. Wow.
Thank you.
How's the participation? Yeah, easy for me to say. Participation with the teenagers.
We actually had 25 that were doing independent reading where they didn't come to the library every week, but they just read on their own and turned in logs. And we had 14 that showed up every week.
Great.
Off and on. Some of them went on family vacations in there, but we had 14 that were coming to the library for activities.
Okay.
Prizes, the grand prizes are the 5th, so they get to come and see what kind of prizes they won. Because as they filled out reading logs, they got to get tickets to put into different prize boxes to see what they could win.
And the prizes were donated.
All the prizes were donated.
They're pretty fantastic too. Do you give away a bike every year? Or?
We did not get a bike this year. We tried,
Okay.
but we did not get a bike.
Stuff.
We have lots of different ocean stuff though. We've got stuffed animals, we've got Lego kits and building kits, and a really big stuffed animal that I know one girl who did a lot of the reading has been working really hard to get.
Often, if you wanted to email me your update, I can make sure my notes include all the highlights. I tried to capture all the great things you said, but if you want to shoot me an email of your update, that's helpful for my minutes.
Okay, I will do that.
Mary.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
So if you'd hang on, while you three ladies are here, I want to share with the public, anybody that knows the history of the library knows that the roof has been a concern for quite a while and how we get that replaced. These three ladies, along with the other folks on the library board, have taken a look at their budget and they've identified places that they can potentially save money yet this year to go with hopefully a nice settlement from our insurance from the latest hailstorm to try to get that roof replaced. And we talked about it at our budget meetings last week. And I just wanted to publicly acknowledge that I appreciate what the board has done to try to find a solution to get that roof replaced. And hopefully we can make that happen. So. Thank you for looking at your own budget and trying to identify where you might be able to save some money yet this year. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Communications from the public. Is there anyone that would like to come on down? We ask that you let us know your name and address for the record.
My name is Cheryl Lathrop. I live at 904 South Chicago.
My name is Stacy Herman. I live at 910 South Chicago.
My name is Beatrice Burgess, and I live at 945 South Chicago.
I'm Chrissy Stover, and I live at 906 South Chicago.
Thank you.
Okay, we have addressed this issue with calling City Hall. We have addressed this issue by talking to Melanie. Nothing is being done, so we're here. We have pictures as proof. We have people camping, long-term camping, in non-designated camping area. Basically, they're living there in a camper that has no running water, no electricity, no comforts as far as what you would call comforts for living.
Sanitation.
That's correct.
I called City Hall twice. The second time, I left a message for Mr. Temple. I never received a call back. I know Bea has came to City Hall to complain. I have called Melanie. I have the ordinances. I printed them out so you guys don't have to look them up because I know that thing's ordinance 155054 addresses this, and also ordinance 155055, tents, campers, and camping. And it says 055 says no tent or camper shall be used, erected, or maintained as living quarters. Overnight camping is permitted on lands established for camping purposes and in private campgrounds were permitted in districts of this chapter. And there's somewhere, maybe I didn't get that print. There's somewhere else that says they can camp in a mobile home court, but they must stay at least 28 days and no more than 180 days. And it's all in the ordinances. And we also know who owns the place, and he lives in Redding, California. He got it from his mother. His name is Ernie White Eyes. And we would like something done about them living there, because they get into fights. The police have been called there. They don't even have a trash receptacle.
They have 2 dogs that are tied up all hours of the day and night through the heat and everything too. When I called City Hall, I called twice. The second time, I was irritated because I was told it was going to be taken care of, and Scott referred to me as, "Lady, calm down. I've taken care of this. Ernest lives in Rapid," and he informed me no one's living there. Ernest does not live in Rapid. Maybe Ernest Jr., but Ernest, who owns the land, lives in California. We all met him when he came out in June and informed us that his plans were to move a fifth wheel and live on a fifth wheel on that property during the summers too. We didn't think much of it. Then he left, and then these people came in and nothing is being done about it, and it's just disgusting. I've never had flies so bad as I do now, except for when I lived on the feedlot, and I think the feedlot, I had less flies than I have right now, because they do not have bathroom facilities, and I have found human increment in my yard.
Oh my God.
After they got a notice, then we got trash put in our yards. There was increment all over my yard, everything. Something needs to be done, and when we call City Hall, we get told, "Calm down, lady. You don't own your place. You don't have a thing to say about this."
And I do own.
Yeah, and I'm directly right next to it. And so they do have their dogs out there almost all day. They don't.
Can you step closer, please?
Oh, sorry. They have their dogs out there almost all day, half of the time. They'll leave them unattended. They just leave and then they'll come back later. There's a younger girl who's there with them, probably 15, 16 years old. Same living conditions. The dogs are starting to dig holes in the yard. They leave their dogs in pet carriers in their cars at night. If they're told they can't camp in the camper, they will sleep in their cars. They've been driving through my driveway, my back driveway, put up a no trespass sign, so they stopped doing that, but it's because the back was never meant to be a driveway. It's never been paved, never gravelled, and so it's just a big mud pit, or it's a big dip in the back. And so they started, inevitably parking in the front because of the no trespass sign that I put back there. But I mean, it's just ridiculous that I have to go through this amount of stuff and talk to this many people in order to just get them to leave.
And they do sleep in their cars a lot. You'll see feet sticking out the windows. Melanie,
they're there all day.
Melanie has seen it.
There's nothing on the actual property. It's a vacant lot. I'm right next to it. I garden. I water my garden. I'm out there all the time. They invite people over there who do get in fights. They throw things. They lift weights over there. I've already called the police about the weight thing. It was pushed up against the fence over onto my car, the pole. It's kind of a galvanized fence, like a garden fence. I had to call the police to help me lift it off because it's like 200 pounds. And then they threw the weight bench in the back. Like, a guy got mad, and then he went out the alley, tried to pull off his shirt, came back, grabbed a board, and then had a come to Jesus moment, decided to walk back out of the alley. It's just ridiculous.
Mayor, can I update council and public on this?
Yes.
Yes.
So, Cheryl, thank you guys for very much bringing this
thank
to our
you.
attention. This is seriously a problem that we've been dealing with. Cheryl, since you and I first spoke,
You didn't speak to me.
I have spoken to you.
No.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, that's okay. I don't want to. We want to argue, and I'd like to know. I'd like to know on not publicly, but who you spoke to before in the office that told you what they told you.
I spoke with Mary.
Okay.
And she spoke with Scott Soggy, I do believe.
If that's the information you received, I apologize for that response.
Is that who told you to calm down?
I talked to, no, he didn't tell me to calm down.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got your name messed
That's
up.
what the
I
comment.
talked to Scott Sodi about, I went actually physically to City Hall to talk to him.
Okay. Regardless of that, I would like to know who you spoke to. But Cheryl, you and I, or somebody using your name, spoke to me because I have it in my notes. Since that date, we have had 3 evictions. So we pulled them out of there ourselves 3 times. We've had 4 police removals because either you or us called the police after hours to get them out of there. As of 2 p.m. today, we were able to get a hold of Mr. White Eyes, and apparently this is a situation, not to go into too much detail, between he and his brother, as I understand. And I guess it's a nephew living, trying to, I don't use the word living, but being there loosely. Mr. White Eyes, the owner, has assured us as of 2 o'clock this afternoon, they will not be there again. Now, I'm only repeating what I was told.
They're still there. They were there when we...
No, I'm saying, we spoke to Mr. White Eyes at 2 o'clock this afternoon. He said he will take care of this today. I cannot tell you exactly, and I want to promise you, he has told us that he will get them out of there and he will put up a gate and secure that lot. We will continue to monitor it. We'll continue to do police calls. We will continue to monitor that daily, because I can tell you that our enforcement guys have been over there, what did I say, 3 times to sticker everything and get them kicked out of there. They go, and you know this better than I. They go out, they come back after hours, they leave in the morning. It's a mess. We understand that. So it's not that we're not taking action. These things, I mean, it's a battle. It's as much a battle for us as it is for you, if not more. But we certainly have a little more authority. And like I said, we have been assured by the owner as of 2 o'clock this afternoon. He didn't say he'd have them out by 2 o'clock. We spoke to him at 2 o'clock. And I'm not trying to make false promises. That's what he told us. We will stay on top of this daily. Do not hesitate to call me, and please, somebody let me know who you spoke to in my office, in our office, that you were told what you were told. Okay. I'm sorry?
Scott.
Okay, thank you.
Do you guys want these?
Sure. Yes. Yeah, we'll take those.
Because their date and timestamp
absolutely.
when the photos were taken.
And I just want to say that it poses a safety issue too for all the residences. I mean, they're coming in. I usually go to bed early because I get up at 4:30 to be to work by 6 in the morning, you know, and most of the time they're just getting in or doing whatever over there. And there's times when I've come home and they've started yelling at me. I don't know if it's the nephew who is Telly or whatever, and yelling at my daughter. I mean, it just poses a safety issue for one.
And do not hesitate to call law enforcement after hours. I know that they get busy. I'm sure that it's not, you know, the most critical thing, but they understand. They know what's going on. They will get there if they can.
Cheryl, didn't you say you did call the police and there was no? Oh, you called and they didn't.
It's civil.
No. Because I looked at they told me earlier they had pulled in there 4 times and kicked people out of there at night. So I don't know if that's
when
from...
there's fighting, they'll come.
Well, that could be. I don't know. I don't know the details.
So when we were told, when I was told, what was it, last week or something like that, we have promises that they're no longer there, you're lying to me, they're not there. So is this going to continue that every time we say no, they're still there, we're going to get told we're lying?
No.
No, not at all.
Because that's what I was told last week when I called about this again. Scott.
Okay, so I appreciate that information.
Hang on a minute. Let's, when we start talking about, you know, somebody's accusing people of lying,
that's what he told me.
I'm not saying he didn't. What I'm saying is I want to have those conversations in private.
Okay.
And, you know, sit down with you and, you know, tell us that side of it. We have to be very conscious of talking about employees in public.
But it's okay for them to talk rudely to us.
I never said it was okay. No. I told you that will not happen. So stop down, you know, we'll have a conversation.
Is anyone going to work after 5 o'clock? Because I work in Rapid.
I'll stay as late as I have to.
I'll stay.
Okay, because I do. I work CPS. There's no guarantee when I get home.
You set up a time that will work for you.
Okay.
And if I'm not previously, you know, scheduled tomorrow, the City Council has another budget meeting from 5 o'clock to whenever we're done. We then have Parks or Historic Preservation in the evening. You let me know what works for you, and I'll tell you what works on my schedule.
It will probably be next week because I'm on call the rest of this week.
Again, you tell me what works for you, and I'll do everything I can to get it on the schedule.
Okay, thank you.
And please accept my apology for any mistreatment you received from our office. That was not appropriate, so I appreciate the information.
Well, this is the first time since I've lived there where I live, and I've moved in there in '99. I'm the one that's been there the longest, I believe, that I lock my doors at night when I go to bed. And I have never done that before because I have always felt safe down there, and I do not feel safe. You know, and my little bitty dog ain't gonna do no good.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah, she came right over to my house on a Sunday and was really concerned.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, ladies. Melanie, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I tried to go through the appropriate channels. I talked with Jeff and, right, Jeff?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm listening. I really am listening. I'm just typing at the same time. Sorry, yes. Yes, Melanie has spoken to me several times about it.
I just want to make sure.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
All right. Any other communication from the public? Got one more.
Come on down to the...
Come on down. Same routine. Name and address, please.
My name is Alex Nelson. I live at 306 South 4th Street. It's not really related directly to that. I'm actually here on behalf of Fall River Health Services. This spring, Fall River Health Services received a grant to implement communities that care within the Fall River community. Hot Springs is definitely part of that community. My position is to get communities that care integrated into the community. I'd just like the council to know that. I've been talking to Mayor Nelson and I spoke with Larry briefly today to kind of discuss what the program entailed. And I was hoping the council would have some time to possibly take part in this or be aware of it and maybe support it on some level if you guys can't represent it on an official capacity. So Communities That Care is the real purpose for it is organizing the community to build a coalition out of community members to help implement preventative services for youth in the area. And when I say preventative services for youth, I'm talking alcohol and substance use and abuse, tobacco use, any community violence, teen pregnancy, delinquent behavior. The idea is this program will allow the community to gather data from all different sources within the community, put together a community action plan, and implement programs to help these kids learn skills, be connected, more connected to the community, and lessen the chances of delinquent behavior and substance use and abuse on in life. So where we're at right now, we're currently creating the key leaders of the community. These are people that are in a position to influence policy or extremely motivated to help kids and allow us to start working on creating a community board where we can start actually doing the groundwork, gathering information, and making changes. It's a 5-stage process. We're currently at the end of stage 1, which is identifying key leaders, training some of those key leaders so then we can move on to creating a board. And I'm hoping in the future some of you guys on the City Council have an opportunity to work with the Communities That Care here in Fall River County. I think it would be a great benefit for Hot Springs. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for everybody within Fall River County. So with that, it is a continual process, so it's not we get this started, get it operational, and we put some programs in and we walk away. It's going to be a long-term investment in Fall River County. It's going to be annual or biannual evaluations of what the programming has done, what needs to change, and maybe our needs have changed, so we look at changing different programs in. And the other thing is it's not going to be an instantaneous change. It is going to take a while. So the Fall River Health Services Board, the CEO, Chief Medical Officer are all super on board with this. We're really wanting to come out and help the youth of Fall River County become better, help Fall River County, help Hot Springs. Thank you for your time. I don't know if you had any questions for me or not.
Is this program nationwide, statewide, regional-wide? What is it?
It is a program. It was developed out of the University of Washington in the late 1980s and has gone, not only is it just, it's across the state here, it's across the United States, and there are several countries that have implemented on some level all over the world. It's a process that it works. It's all of the research that they've done, they implemented their actual test cases in early 2000s and have been tracking those kids from then until now. They saw across the board a reduction, that kids that participated in this program in those communities, reduction in all of the negative areas. And it actually, new research that has just come out, and they've gathered some more data. It turns out that it's almost turning into a generational thing. The kids that participated are still benefiting for something that they went through when they were 14, when they were in middle school.
Alex, would you share contact information, or will you be sending our council an invitation to the next part of your process?
I'll give you contact information. I don't know if you guys need to discuss how you want to participate or how that all works. I'm kind of new to this. Taking a lot of classes on city government, but I haven't actively participated. So.
Do you have materials you can give us as well?
I don't have them any with me. I can make sure I can get those out to you guys.
Another question I had, you mentioned alcohol, tobacco, drug use. Is somewhere in this program as well as teen suicide prevention?
Yes. The whole idea behind this program is the data is going to drive the programs that we're looking at. And every concern that I guarantee every single one of you have about the youth of the community, because I've talked to, at this point, I'm looking at 13, 14 people I've talked about joining this key leader or board. They've all expressed the same concerns. And to me, that's probably going to be a good indication the data is going to back that up. And what we are going to run into is we need to pick the programs based on what the data is saying. Instead of just saying, I feel this, it's, hey, the data's saying this, let's do this program. And I would say that that would definitely be something that we would heavily take a look at.
So do you have, to set up your programs, do you use focus groups to figure that out amongst the underage children or under 18 years of age children? Or do you go with like your police department and their crime reports and things like that?
Essentially everything that we can get. There's a specific survey geared towards juveniles, so 18 and under. That is the primary source, but we can also look at, juvenile ticketing for underage substance possession, use, etc., to see what some of those numbers are actually, how they actually look.
Okay, thank you.
I guess what my question is what age level are you focused on for this program?
Ideally, young as possible. So the earlier you get some of the skills and things to the youth, the better or more likely they are to push off that, drinking their first beer or smoking their first cigarette. And so what we're looking at, especially for the survey is 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th grades. And kind of depending on what that data is showing, we might be looking at some sort of program in the elementary school or something like that. I'm kind of talking off the cuff because I don't have any of those specific answers for Fall River County or Hot Springs. It's based off of everything that I've read and learned about the process. So we are looking younger the better. 6th, 5th grade, right in there would probably be that ideal time. But certain programs actually take effect even lower.
Will you be working with the DARE program as well?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Will you be working with the DARE program as well?
Part of our assessment is doing a community evaluation of what is already working and in the program and seeing how that fits into prevention efforts.
Okay, thanks.
Alex, I recall filling out a survey for Fall River Health Services, some kind of community assessment. I think it came through the Chamber of Spring Tides or something. Is that related to this?
It's not directly related to this. That's another process Fall River Health is going through to, improve services, community outreach, so on and so forth.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? All right. That brings us to personnel actions. Can I get a motion to approve personnel actions A through H?
Make a motion to approve personnel actions A through H.
Second.
Discussion?
I did that second, I'm sorry.
I did, and
Linda.
somebody, and Larry too.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. On to resolutions. Resolution A, Resolution 2022-19, a resolution to change the adult age identifier at the Evans Plunge Mineral Springs. Linda? Jeff?
Yeah, let me address it quick. Linda, maybe you can clarify this. Quite simply,
Discussion comes after you move in second, right?
I'm sorry, I thought somebody...
You did, he called on you, so, sorry.
I make a motion to discuss the resolution 2022-19 to change the adult age identifier at the Evans Plunge Mineral Springs from 16 years of age to 14 years of age.
Second.
Linda, I defer to you if you'd like to explain.
Okay, what we discussed was changing, lowering the age to 14 from 16 to allow those 14 years of age to go into the area where the machinery is to work out and stuff. And I can't, here's the price list here. But it's going to allow 14-year-olds to go into the workout area and use their machinery and all that. Because you have younger children wanting to do that, and when they were not allowed to do it till they were 16, you were losing a lot of interest there. And so that's what we discussed doing with that.
I think that's it. It's a resolution to adjust the fees and charges, but not changing the fees and charges, only changing the age. That's it.
Yeah.
Not to sound terrible, but was there a reason why 14s were not allowed in there based maybe on their mentality versus 19, 16 years old going in there?
That wasn't really brought up, but I know that they've been having difficulty keeping those under age 16 out of the area, especially without a parent. But if they change that and lower the age to allow them into the gym part of it, then they don't have to be there with a parent. They can be there on their own.
It would change what they're charged as well, because they'd be charged as an adult.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I get all the monetary aspects of it, but I'm thinking more of the safety issue.
I don't know what the background is on it. I don't know where that age came from. I can tell you that in federal facilities, the age 10 is the age of whatever I forget what the terminology is, but I won't say discernment, but whatever that age is. I'm not saying we should go like that. I'm just saying that you've got 14-year-olds that are kind of in that, I'm saying in between. They want to do teenage stuff, they don't want to do kid stuff, and 14 seems to be a reasonable thing. That these kids are at 14 years old, they're in junior high or middle school, and they're starting to play sports and that kind of thing. They should be able to work out. So that's kind of a lot of the background with that.
I don't know if this is the place to bring this up, but during our budget hearing, we was told that the gym has mold in it. Should we be letting anybody in there until it's cleaned up?
I don't know if that's been actually found.
I don't know where that came up, Craig. I remember hearing something, but I don't know who brought it up. I don't recall.
I remember who brought it up.
Well, shouldn't we be searching and see if it's true?
It is on my list. I mean, we inspect it every week, so I don't know that there would be, but it is on my list to go check, so I will do that.
Okay.
On the perchance the 14-year-olds get out of hand, and what contingencies do you have at that point?
That would never happen.
They're good kids.
That would never happen, right?
Working out will take all
the spit and vinegar out of them,
right?
Let's hope, right?
Yeah, right.
We hope.
Thank you.
I guess the only thing I'm concerned with is at age 14 is supervision. 16-year-olds are able to drive and so forth, but I know they work out a lot. I just wonder if there's going to be somebody around while they're there supervising what's going on.
14-year-olds can drive too.
Well.
And JR, it's not staffed directly, but to be honest with you, and I don't mean to be flippant about it, I'd rather have them in that environment where they can work out instead of me having to supervise them out in the hallway, which is kind of what's happening. So
yeah.
That's kind of where we're at.
Is there free weights in the gym?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, that's the only problem I would have. To make sure that somebody's spotting a 14-year-old, you trying to lift too much or bulk up. And that's the only problem I'd have. I don't,
We'll have to watch it closely, I think. They're going to have to be sure that we're...
Would they have to have a waiver or anything from their?
Not at 14.
Okay.
I would agree with the concern about 14-year-olds being able to do adult things and are they mature enough and responsible enough to do that. All right. Any other questions? All in favor?
Excuse me, before we vote on it, Deb's motion was to discuss it. Do you need to amend?
I'll amend to approve. Discuss and approve.
Second was from Larry Pratt.
Yes.
Yeah, second.
All right. We ready to move on?
I am.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
I'm sorry, I'll need a roll call. I couldn't catch all those.
All right. Misty, would you call the roll, please?
Bill Lukens,
Yes.
Larry Pratt,
No.
Craig Romey,
No.
Linda Varvel,
Yes.
Melanie Wilson,
Yes.
J.R. Huddleston,
No.
Deborah Johnston.
Yes.
You have 4
4 to 3?
and 3 noes.
All right. The motion passes. Next resolution, Resolution 2022-20. A resolution to designate Southern Hills Golf Course and Evans Plunge Mineral Springs as non-public forums.
I make a motion to approve the resolution to designate the Southern Hills Golf Course and the Evans Plunge Mineral Springs as non-public forums.
Second?
All right. Jeff, I believe this one's on you.
This resolution is quite simply to identify areas where, I don't know how to put this. Garland, maybe you can help me say this better. I'm sorry. I don't want to misspeak in this area. Thank you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's what we have them here for.
What this deals with is a freedom of speech issue, which is a huge constitutional issue, of course. Basically, if you had groups that want to set up in front of the plunge or at the golf course, this resolution would bar those groups. But it's a across the board bar, so as far as it's not based on what the group is or who they represent. We can do this because a little bit of a law review is 3 basic types of forums. The traditional forum is such as the sidewalk or in front of City Hall. Designated would be like here during communications with the public, and then non-public forums are pretty much everywhere else. And we can regulate what type of speech or well, not necessarily what type of speech, but we can regulate speech and put certain restrictions on them. And this is an allowable restriction.
And as I understand it, Garland, because the city has plenty of other spaces that we own, that these folks can get their message out, identifying Evans Plunge and the golf course as tourist attractions is the difference between?
Correct. Like for instance, I use the Boy Scouts as an example. Boy Scouts have plenty of places set up on our public parks, sidewalks, etc., to share their message per se. We just, as a tourist attraction, in my opinion, we have a substantial governmental interest in keeping those areas as tourist attractions and not forums for public speech.
And federal law supports that?
Correct. But I will give a little caveat. It is a very litigious area. So there's no guarantees when it comes to constitutional law, okay?
That's why I want you to answer the question.
Yeah.
You talking like Girl Scouts can't set up and sell cookies in front of Evans Plunge?
Correct.
Just Evans Plunge and golf course, those 2 areas?
Well, here's the issue, is because if you allow one group and don't allow one group, like, I'll give this example. There's it's been making the news lately and in the legal circles. There's a satanic club. So if the Girl Scouts are there and the satanic club wants to set up a display, we'd have to allow them too. So in our best interest, we should just ban them all because those are tourist attractions, and that's what we're trying to promote them as.
Well, to me, if Centennial Park is our park, but still one of our main tourist attractions, wouldn't this or not?
Parks, by case law, just lawsuits, have been traditionally considered like open forums for public speech. So typically with a park, you can make such like restrictions as like time limits, like no protests after 11 p.m. But if you restrict it based on content, that would be unconstitutional. So you can make reasonable restrictions. It's just that parks are considered traditionally open forums, much like being in front of the city hall or on a sidewalk.
Okay, thank you.
So what brought this up?
A request to set up a table at the plunge.
By?
An organization.
It's irrelevant. I guess the point being is that it doesn't matter who it is. We realize that we don't have any clear guidance on what we can and cannot allow in our facilities. And bottom line, well, not in our facilities, but in front of our facilities. And the bottom line is, with Garland's research, we realize that the only two areas that we really could limit all that is those two tourist type areas.
But they're still owned by the public.
Correct. So a non-public forum would also be like the interior of the police department, like that's not a traditional public forum. We're just designating this as a non-public forum based on it being a tourist attraction. And as far as I think, the real issue is you got to watch over content. And I think that's why they don't want to answer your question on who applied, okay? Because we don't want to come across as we're picking on one organization. This is why it's broad.
That's fine.
Would this also be like for people who are trying to sign petitions? Would that be included?
Yeah.
Something that would be banned from there?
Because they have plenty of other properties that are considered public open forums.
They can go in front of the library, in front of City Hall, in front of any place else they want to go, as long as they're not blocking
Dakota Mart.
traffic. Huh?
Dakota Mart?
Dakota Mart,
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Dakota Mart, Melanie, because that's private property, and I've never really focused on Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, whatever, but they seem to sell their cookies, which I love, on private property in businesses. So those businesses can give that permission. We're in a situation where, as a public entity, if we tell one group because we like their cookies that it's okay to do that, but another group whose cookies I don't like, they say, no, you can't do that. That's where we get into the legal quagmire and all of this. As soon as we tell one group they can, then we have to tell all groups they can, whether we agree with their message or not. So in these two instances, as tourist attractions, that's what we want them to stay.
Yeah, and this started out as kind of like, should it be allowed or not? That was the question to me. And if we allow it, that opens up Pandora's box to, if you gotta allow it, you're gonna allow everybody, So then it was decided, and it was kind of also my opinion too, that we have a substantial interest in having these two entities as a tourist designation instead of, like being in City Hall.
How do you get the golf course as a tourist attraction?
Because it is.
There ain't a whole lot. I mean, I'm sure there's some tourists there, but I'm sure they're not
The idea is
knocking down the door to get in.
And I think, Arlen, if I can quote something you told me, is that you've got sidewalks, or city sidewalks are public spaces. However, if it's a sidewalk that is specifically going into that facility, then it's not a public, and I'm probably stating it wrong, but it has to do with the use of that sidewalk. So that's kind of where it was. And it has never been an issue at the golf course. It may never be an issue at the golf course, but the intent was to cover any future questions that come up.
Yeah. It's not necessarily that it's a tourist. I didn't use that wordage. I think Jeff did.
I think I must have stuck it in there.
But it's just basically, if we owned any kind of business enterprise, which basically both of them are a business enterprise, and our goal is to promote that business, then it shouldn't be used as a public forum for any group. And maybe a better example instead of the Girl Scouts is maybe like political parties. You know, if you had Evans Plunge and you had, say, Republicans one day and then Democrats the other day and then independents the next day, that might be a turnoff to even our local customers. So we have I think the main purpose of these two places is to promote the area and hopefully generate some money, I would assume. That would be the hope.
Any other questions?
Thank you for reminding us that fair and consistent application of policies is how we stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
Bob?
Robert Paul, 1327 Schofield Street. The thoughts that immediately popped up, and Deb really asked one of the questions, this would in essence bar any type of public assembly in front of these two places, petition drives, voter registration drives, any type of public demonstration, any type of public assembly?
Correct. That's correct.
I guess I have a little difficulty with that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Council, do you have any other questions?
One more comment. As far as if a group or organization wants to pay to, say, like the Fall River Democrats want to have a swim day at Evans Plunge and they're paying to enter, they're not barred from that, okay? But they would be barred from like setting up front, promoting their agenda. Or the Republicans too, just to keep it fair.
Good clarification, thank you, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Do we have another public speaker?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Aletha Nelson, 405 Albany. My concern with what you guys are discussing right now is, as a former mother of a golfer for the high school, we used to be able to raise money for the golfers' travels by setting jars out at the golf course and helping to pay for the boys that way and the girls. Will this stop that?
I don't really like setting jars of cash for collection from a control standpoint. When I started, we eliminated most of that for separate organizations because our employees shouldn't be responsible and things happen, but I'll let Garland answer your specific question.
Also, Aletha, before you answer, Garland, real quick, this doesn't have any bearing on fundraisers that are done in our facility. So we do still have some of those different situations, like the golf team at the golf course. That's a different situation completely, but Garland, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd have to really research whether fundraising was considered speech or not, which is protected. It's really about promotion of ideas.
Okay, I was just concerned about our golf leagues. I used to haul them all over every summer, and that was how we got our money to travel with the kids. And as the young gentleman back there, that was one of the great things to keep the kids out of trouble. They went out to the golf course.
Yeah. As far as fundraisers, I'd have to research.
If you took the jar around and then took it with you after you're done, I'm fine with it, but leaving something somewhere
And again,
from a
it
control
has to be neutral.
standpoint.
You would have to, if you allow one group in, you have to allow every group in.
I wasn't aware that we've ever done that, Aletha. So.
I think that's taken away from our youth. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aletha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aletha.
Anyone else? Ms. Two, would you call the roll, please?
Melanie Wilson,
No.
Linda Varvel,
Yes.
Craig Romey,
No.
Larry Pratt,
No.
Bill Lukens,
Yes.
Deborah Johnston,
No.
J.R. Huddleston.
Yes.
You have 3 yeses and 4 noes.
All right, so the motion fails. Takes us on to new business. New business item A, a possible motion discussion to direct and authorize the finance officer.
I make a motion to direct and authorize the finance officer to close out the Bank of the West checking account and deposit the balance to the Wells Fargo main checking account.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. T, do you have any additional clarification for him?
Just want to make the math easier. We're using up all our money, so this will put it in one pot for you to consider.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item B, a possible motion discussion to approve a special sale alcoholic beverage license.
I make a motion to discuss to approve a special sale of alcoholic beverage license application from CS Inc. and doing business as Winner's Circle for the Music in the Park event to be held on 9/4/22 at Centennial Park.
Second. Discussion?
Yeah, as always, will there be kids involved?
It's not our event. The event is put on by Dusty Pence. It's an annual event where she provides music in the park, and I have not been there to tell you if there are children, but I would imagine they may be present.
Has this been practice of the previous, I mean, she's been doing this for a few years now, right?
That's my understanding, yes.
Robert Paul has something to say.
Robert Paul, 1327 Schofield Street. The first question I had was, Misty I think answered it, was CS Inc. working on behalf of a different civic organization, or are they acting on their own behalf? And I am going to reiterate a comment that I have made several times in the past concerning family-oriented type events, which I am going out on a limb and assuming that this is, about having alcohol provided at every single thing that we have at a city park or elsewhere, that we have to provide that. I just really question the validity of having to do this. I think it's a bad message to send to the young people that we have to have alcohol served at these events in order to make them a success or fun or fulfilling or however you want to put it. I've got no problem with the group. I've got no problem with the event. It's just the mechanics of, do we always have to serve alcohol at these events? I don't think we do. I think you folks are in the position that you can either say, yes, let's continue it, or no, let's think of something else. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
I appreciate what Robert's saying, but as Misty reminded us,
And Garland.
at Garland last time, as a council under South Dakota codified law, there's 2 criterias that we can either accept or reject a temporary alcoholic beverage license. One is location, the other is the individual applying, if that person is of bad reputation or of criminal.
Good moral character.
Good moral character. Those are the 2 criteria. I don't disagree with what Robert is saying, but from a legal basis, those are our 2 criteria. I just want to remind the council of that.
And Winter
Garland,
Circle
did I
was
speak? Thank you.
To answer your question, Winter Circle was hired by this group, so they're not doing it on their own. They were petitioned or asked or whatever, and the event organizer would be the person you could talk to about your concerns with always having to have alcohol at these types of events. I would think that would be a good place to share your concerns. Because if we say no to Centennial Park for this one, it's no to Centennial Park for all of them, because location can't change.
Any other questions?
Well, that's kind of a heavy-handed statement.
I'm sorry,
That's kind of a heavy-handed statement.
but that's what our attorney told us for Dollar
codified
General.
law.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Misty, would you call the roll, please?
J.R. Huddleston,
Yes.
Deborah Johnston,
Yes.
Bill Lukens,
Yes.
Larry Pratt,
No.
Craig Romey,
No.
Linda Varvel,
No.
Melanie Wilson.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 4 yeses and 3 nos.
All right, the motion passes. New business, item C, a possible motion discussion to approve the submitted South Dakota Department of Transportation application.
I'll make a motion to approve the submitted SD DOT application for permit to occupy right-of-way on Highway 385 Jennings Avenue between Chicago Street and North River Street for a block party to announce the opening of the street. The date is to be determined.
Second.
Discussion. So council, you approve these in a block, typically at the first of the year, identifying when our 4th of July parade is going to be our Christmas in the Hills parade, our football one.
Homecoming.
Homecoming. So there's a whole block of these that you approve. The event organizers apply to the state to close a portion of the state highways. What's different about this one is Jennings certainly is a state highway, but right now it's not closed. So they're not asking you to close it, but because they're going to be, what they're asking for is to do a block party prior to it opening. That's what they're asking you for, is to allow them to do that. The date to be determined really depends on the contractor, how quickly they can get that road ready to be opened. And they are as anxious to have that road open as the public is. So we're looking at, I'm going to go on a limb here. We're looking at ideally a week to a couple weeks, and then Jennings will be open to traffic again. So what they're asking is prior to that actual opening, allow them to have a block party. And you can see at the bottom of it that Rich Zocker with the Custer office has agreed, and the contractor also agrees that that would be a good thing to do.
Primarily because we're not actually closing the road. The road is already closed. We're going to do this before we open it. Or sorry, they're going to do this before they open it.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Brings us to committee reports. Administrative and Finance. JR, Melanie?
Okay. We began the meeting today at 1 o'clock. Present was Misty Summers Walton, Jeff Temple, Deb Johnston, Melanie Wilson, J.R. Huddleston. Old business. Additional costs related to water and wastewater replacement road project, ongoing review and discussions necessary. Wastewater road project was discussed in depth. Misty presented a spreadsheet showing the estimates of invoices paid, CDBG grant awarded, CDBG monies received, and additional expenses paid to vendor. Ongoing discussion, funding is very, very tight. Gauge installation at City Shop, propane tank review, last several years of usage. We're waiting the tank to go empty. Discussions on pre-buy tank size, costs, average usage of 6,500 to 7,500 gallons annually. And the question is filling the tank the best option? Water usage and sales at the airport, crop spraying, seat plane, $7.50 per 1,000 gallon. That was finalized the last council meeting. We're removing this line item. No further discussion. New business, review of monthly finance officer reports. No reports were presented. Committee member items, we keep getting upgrades, or you should see them on your laptop. laptop to Windows 11 notice to upgrade to Windows 11, and Jeff will be contacting IT about that statement that we're getting on our laptops.
Can I interject? Do you mind?
Go ahead.
IT has asked us not to pay attention to any of those pop-ups and to hold off until they do it as a citywide as the enterprise.
Okay.
Because there's bugs.
Yeah, there's always bugs on new systems.
I don't like bugs. Okay.
I don't like bugs either, or snakes.
Updates, PD Homeland Security. Oh, I'm sorry. Before that, 2023 budget progress. It's ongoing. May need one more meeting after tomorrow night's meeting. We've got a heavy night tomorrow, so hopefully we can get done as much as we can, but we may need another night. Updates on PD Homeland Security Grant for 5 mobile computers. Initial cost estimates all paid by Homeland Security Grant, $64,500. Ongoing added expenses of $5,800 estimated, and we have no update. We believe that that's just the awarding of it, and it's a government entity, so flip a coin when they're going to send the money out. Community Access Road Grant, streets around the school update. We need the engineers, our engineers update on that. We have not received one. Proposed changes to City of Hot Springs job application, HR school info. No council action needed. Misty will make the changes, post on a city website, and provide copies to the department heads. Water and wastewater on-call pay proposed changes. Very robust discussion on the recommendation for consideration. Jeff to look at the proposal and clarify areas of concern mentioned by the committee. The meeting adjourned at 12:15 p.m. Next meeting is September 5th at 1 p.m. at the Mueller Civic Center. J.R. Huddleston, Chair.
Melanie, anything you want to add?
He's doing a fantastic job over there.
Council, any questions?
Yes. That big tank at the street shop, usually, I don't know what happened last year, but it'll take a transport full. If it's empty, it'll take the full transport. And usually, that's a lot cheaper than pre-buy or anything, because it goes straight from them to the tank. So it'd be foolish not to fill it and take a transport load versus 100 gallons here and there. I mean, it lasts more than a whole year. It's still got propane in it, and they've used it all winter. So that's just my opinion.
So what we keep bouncing around when we talk about this tank is, has the gauge been replaced?
Nope.
Not yet.
We haven't bought though.
And the tanker load was more expensive than the pre-buy. This time by 46 or 50
See, and it
cents.
shouldn't have been, because it's the same people that gave us the pre-buy.
It's more expensive.
It was.
I think somebody made a mistake.
Well, the gauge is standing by to be replaced as soon as the tank is empty, so it's kind of it's there. It'll be taken care of.
Yeah. When you talk about the gauge or the tank being empty, I believe the conversation last year was depending on if we get the tank low enough, whoever we ask to replace the gauge can pump the remaining gas out of it.
Usually,
to get it emptied, replace the gauge, and then put the gas that they pumped out back in, and then top the tank off.
Yep.
So if we're at a point where whoever is going to replace the gauge for us feels like that's the right way to go, there's really no need for us to wait.
And Jeff, you said you were still looking into that.
I will follow up with Billy. He told me a week ago that they were waiting till they got to the point they could replace it. So I'm assuming that that's what you were talking about, but I'll verify that.
Okay, thank you. All right, Airport Advisory, Bill?
Airport Advisory will meet this Thursday, the 4th, 8:30 at the airport.
All right. I'm going to jump back up to admin and finance. I made a note here. We're talking about the water department finances. I've been working with Misty, Jeff, and Tracy to sit down and have a discussion about the water department finances to make sure we've got a good understanding of what's available to us and some of the expenses that we know will be coming out of that department, so we can get a good handle on that. We've been talking about next Monday to have that conversation, so we'll have it as soon as we can. All right, Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management, Larry?
The Custer Fall River Waste Management District Board meeting was called to order at 7 p.m. on Thursday, July 14th. Members present were Mike Lindy, Chairman, Dean Weekly, Vice Chairman, Peg Ryan, Secretary Treasurer, Dan Frieden, Dee Anderson, myself, Les Cope, Joe Messinio, and Roger Horton. Treasurer's report, fees associated with providing credit card payment services was reviewed. A new third-party credit card processor, TSYS, has begun providing services. Landfill contract manager's report, the landfill site has been mowed and recent wind-blown trash has been retrieved. Danner, DANR, recently conducted an on-site inspection. No report has been received as of yet. The FMG report, a certificate of substantial completion, has been prepared for the Phase 2 cell closure and rubble site drainage projects. Completed and final report on the project has been submitted to the state. Work on a draft of the permit renewal planning documents will include the proposal of a 3-sided roof to serve as a drop-off site at the entrance of the landfill. The Phase 3 cell has a remaining capacity of 5 to 6 years. All board members' positions will remain the same. This was the annual meeting. The board approved the chairman, secretary, treasurer, and deputy secretary treasurer to be on all districts' financial, banking, and investments accounts. The board approved to increase the deputy secretary treasurer monthly compensation to 10%, $660 a month, monthly. The board approved compensation at $50 meeting and to set the mileage at the current IRS rate of 0.625 per mile. Board approved the Fall River County Herald Star as the official newspaper for the Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management District. There was no public comment. Next meeting will be September 8th at 7 p.m. at the Mueller Center. The meeting adjourned at 7:55 p.m.
Any questions for Larry?
Next meeting?
September 8th.
Thank you.
Yeah.
5 p.m. Mueller Center, 7 p.m. Mueller Center.
September 8th at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Thank you.
Yes, you're invited.
Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
Historic Preservation, Deborah?
We meet this Wednesday on the 3rd, 5 p.m. here at the Mueller Center. Everyone is welcome.
Thank you. Evans Plunge, Linda?
The Evans Plunge Advisory Committee will meet August 11th at noon at the Plunge.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Larry?
Next meeting is this Wednesday the 3rd at 2 p.m. at the Mueller Center.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning, Deborah?
The last meeting in June, there was no business to attend to, so that meeting was canceled. The next meeting is August 17th at 7 p.m. at City Hall.
Was it the July meeting that was canceled?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Deborah. Public Safety, Bill, JR?
Next public safety is this Thursday, August 4th, 2 p.m. at the Mueller Center.
Thank you. Public Works, Craig?
We did not have a meeting because the mayor canceled it. I think our next meeting's I'm gonna throw this out, the 7th? Next Tuesday?
I think it's the 9th.
9th? I don't have a calendar, I'm sorry.
It is
At 1 o'clock?
the 9th.
We'll see if we have a meeting then.
It's the 9th at 1 o'clock.
And all is welcome.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, 1 o'clock, right here.
Thank you. Southern Hills Golf Course, Jeff?
Southern Hills Golf Course Advisory Committee, next meeting is scheduled for August 8th at the clubhouse at 6 p.m. The city administrator report. Everybody is aware of last week's water main break. That was the 4th in 24 months, and so we're just limping along until we get the new water main put down. There's an example of the piece of the water main to show and tell tonight. So if you haven't already seen it, that is normally a 1/2-inch lead pipe. It's now the size of a sheet of paper, thickness of a sheet of paper. So that is a piece that broke out the other day, what was it, Wednesday, Thursday, I forget, whatever day it was. So now, I hate to say this, but the Centennial Water Fountain is now back operational, so we'll see if it lasts until the next council, but it is operational. The guys had it back within a few days. I'm sorry. Did I say I didn't mean lead? I apologize. Yeah, it's a lead water pipe. We have nothing to worry about. That's not what I meant. I'm sorry. I said it twice this morning. I thought I corrected myself. They're iron pipes. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Bob, it answers a lot of questions why council behaves the way we do.
It does. That actually, now as a new guy in town, that does explain a lot to me, I'll tell you. The highway project summary report, the city engineer will begin briefing council at the next council meeting. He'll do that at least every 30 days, if not every 2 weeks. We'll try and do it, but at least once a month. His project, I have given you a hard copy of his update as of today. There's copies in the back for the public, although I think that most information is out through their public relations folks. And the Jennings Block Party we already discussed. That date is TBD, and that's the end of my report, subject to your questions.
When they replaced the water line on 4th Street, every service was lead pipe.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. It's a word you said. I'm sorry.
I said when they replaced the water line on 4th Street.
Don't speak slowly. I got that. Speak louder.
Every service line was a lead pipe.
Really?
Wow.
Well, maybe I wasn't that far off. I don't know. But no, I was corrected by the engineer that they're iron pipes.
Any other questions for Jeff? Thank you, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Misty?
We're still accepting applications for an admin assistant at City Hall.
Please.
I'm wondering where all the workers are. So if anybody wants to apply for any position, we have water, wastewater openings, lifeguard, custodians, police officers. The city of Hot Springs is hiring, and it's a great place to work. So I am specifically still accepting applications for an admin assistant at City Hall.
The good news is the golf course is fully staffed. That's the good news. So that's the only place. It's the only place that's fully staffed.
Wonderful. That is wonderful. Thank you for the highlight. I did receive the links to the recordings for the elected officials workshop. The resources include, I got a chance to see one of the 9 different presentations so far. They are from the South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance, Protecting Public Entities. 27-minute video. They talked about moonlighting, using city equipment, including emails for personal use, facility use agreements, contracts, attorney reviews. So that 27 minutes from SDPAA was super interesting. The other topics are work comp fund. And I did watch that one also, or started it. I didn't finish. And they talked a lot about who is an employee and how you determine employees and why you have to designate the difference. I have not yet watched, but I'm also interested in municipal officials and employees. The Director of Human Resources for the City of Pierre is presenting a 52-minute video on that. Financial and Compliance Matters with my favorite, Rod Fortin. That's 1 hour and 22 minutes. Bids and Contracts with Rod Fortin. Conflict of Interest for Municipal Officials. That's a 30-minute video. The Assistant Attorney General for the Office of the Attorney General, Stephen Blair, presents. And then open meetings and executive sessions, do's and don'ts. Those are all the topics on those, and we can now watch those at our leisure. So I sent it out by email to all of you. If you are not comfortable with email and you'd like somebody to help you launch the programs, let me know and I'd be happy to. I think it's time that will be well spent. I talked to our media coordinator about getting our ordinances pending codification up on our website faster. As you know, we contract with American Legal Publishing to hold our codified ordinances, but we only update that once a year because of the cost. So adding a section to our website that we can post our ordinances pending codification may help the public when we have new ones that are of interest, like fireworks or our medical dispensary ordinances. I can't tell you how many times I've emailed those out to people. So creating a site on our website where you can land and review those is something that we're working on. The other thing I've worked with the media coordinator on is adding an online payment option to the city website. That is currently up and running and has been for a couple weeks. We haven't promoted it very significantly yet because we're still trying to learn how we're going to track those payments when they come in. Currently, you can pay your City of Hot Springs utility bill. You can pay your recreation fees, but you can't fill out the paperwork to enroll in the classes.
Yet.
You can pay for your Hot Springs Airport rents. You can pay for your rents for the Mueller Civic Center, and you can make general fee payments to the City of Hot Springs, which include things like park reservations online through that portal. There was a fabulous article in last month's Municipal League magazine about short-term occupancy rentals, licensing, and sales tax. Y'all know there's been an explosion in those types of platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, HomeAway, Flipkey, and Tripping.com. I hadn't heard of that one yet. And it helps us understand what sales tax applies, what licenses are required, and it also encourages local governments to contact the Department of Revenue to ensure that homeowners and rental companies are properly licensed. We've been talking about that a lot in different committees, and I think that's a great article, and you should take a look at it. The other thing I'd point out in that same magazine is we once again were highlighted with the help of the media coordinator and the chamber director. We wrote another really nice article, and the City of Hot Springs was highlighted in this monthly publication. That's all I have.
That's it? Any questions for Misty? Thank you, Misty.
Thank you.
Mayor's report. First, I want to thank all the city employees that worked late into the morning last Thursday evening to repair a main water line break in front of the 309 General. I also want to thank Brent, the owner of the 309 General, for putting together some meals for the city employees that worked on that water line break. And along with water line issues, Jeff spoke a little bit about the Tracy, the city engineer, updating you folks on expenses that would be necessary related to the road reconstruction project. So Tracy says it better in his letter than I was going to, his update. So I just want to read from the update that Tracy had provided. City crews are performing adjustments and valve replacements along the current area under construction where the mains themselves do not require replacement. Although these valves function correctly in most cases and have been exercised, we have found that they have experienced considerable corrosion to the valve bodies themselves due to the corrosive soil. Leaving valves that are in this condition that are already 42 years old under a completely new highway poses risks that can be avoided by installing new valves that are epoxy coated and have corrosion inhibiting caps attached to the structural bolts. So as they've been working on the south end of the project, it's when the city crews had identified that the valves themselves, though they may be turning on and off, the bodies themselves are showing significant corrosion, and the bolts that hold the bodies together are showing significant corrosion. So it would certainly not be in our best interest to leave 42-year-old valves under a brand new $31 million highway as we move through town. Tracy's working with the folks to get together the cost for replacing the necessary valves, and we'll get that information to you as soon as we can. But I hope everyone is in agreement that leaving 42-year-old valves under a brand new highway is not the right thing to do. In last week's Herald Star, there was an article about the new fountain in Centennial Park. Thank you, Brett, for that. I want to acknowledge the part Councilman Romey played in the replacement of that fountain. While traveling in Alliance, Nebraska, Craig noticed a fountain in their city park he thought should be duplicated in Hot Springs. When Craig saw the fountain from the West Oak building, he saw an opportunity to replace the current aging fountain with the fountain you see today. Our new fountain isn't quite the grand fountain Craig first saw in Alliance, but it's a start. So Craig has been a strong advocate ever since he saw that fountain to get it in Centennial Park, and that came together working with the city crews. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Last Tuesday and Thursday, the council worked from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. to hammer out a 2023 city budget. They're close to being done, but have a few remaining departments to review. Thank you to all the council members that respected the different opinions about how to arrive at a structurally balanced budget. Another 2023 budget meeting will be held tomorrow night, Tuesday, August 2nd, 5 p.m. at the Mueller Center, and the public is welcome. you have any questions for me? All right, next agenda item is an executive session. Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
Make a motion, we go into executive session in accordance with SDCL 1-25-2, 3, legal.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. And for the public, there will be no action taken after executive session. And there will be...
Man, somebody drink this.
Yeah, no, I will. I'll take care of you. I see it.
All right, looks like we're back at 9:12. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Have a good evening, everyone.
Good night, Garland.